Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. I am Katie. Sorry. And I am going to be going over or continuing on the conversation that I started in a previous video. I think it'll help to watch this series in order. And I think I'm going to have a separate playlist for this so that you can watch. It's going to be, well, it kind of stems back to some of the videos I did at the beginning of the year, but these four are going to be pretty critical, and I probably will add on to these afterwards. I don't know. I don't know where this is going, but I do feel like making decisions and then stepping through some kind of project or achievement kind of needs its own space to live in, right? So my previous video was all about moving from overwhelm to decisions. And I do feel like there's a couple more here, and I might revisit this one as well and add it to the list. I have not added anything. My only thoughts after I did this was just being conscious of your energy during everything. That permeates everything in life, right? If you don't have the energy to do something, how are you going to achieve it? Making decisions in the first place takes energy. So that's why I put these kind of together, and I also kept this short in order to not have you going in circles and ruminate and kind of go, oh, and I mean, you can talk yourself out of something, and maybe that is for the best, but maybe there's something really calling you and you don't want to be like, maybe I could. I want you to feel like, who could, feel proud about this or really benefit from this, or maybe it's yourself. There's things here that can help you make those decisions. Once you have your decision, I wanted to break it down then into 3 different areas, and I wrote a page for each one of these. So I do have a full page here, and just to keep on track, I have this to uncover each one. I found this much easier than if I were to stop and write each one. So initiation is the first one. The second one will be the next video, called the messy middle. And then the last one, is about finishing. So initiation, let's go through these. Research. So once you make your decision, you are going to need to research something, and what I'm envisioning during all of these are shorter goals and long-time goals, whether it's project-based, whether it's personal development, whether it's helping someone else out, whether it's volunteering. Those are kind of the things that came to mind when I'm thinking about starting something and being in the middle of it and finishing something. So just to kind of let you know where I'm coming from. So generally, you're not going to have all the information. You're going to need to sit down and do some research about how much time it takes, just the resources in general. So time, money, other people involved, how other people have done it, using apps, so resources, and finding out a little bit about what other people are doing to see if that might help you on your journey. Maybe picking out names for things if it's a business, looking at course catalogs if you're going to school, researching places you want to volunteer and see which one's the best. But you're also not going to have absolutely all the information. There's going to be some information you do not have until you start something. But that initial research is very important. Thinking about likely outcomes. So what would it look like if you went through this process and it came out good? But what if you also went through that process and it came out amazing and awesome? What's that kind of spectrum there of from good to awesome? Can you picture those outcomes? Do you see examples of those outcomes? What variations could come up for this? So It could be that if you're going back to school, you're looking at a bunch of different schools. It could be for volunteering. There are many organizations out there that overlap. It could be that you want to do something within graphic design, and you could go into trade shows, or you could do small businesses, or there's going to be a lot of variations that maybe you have to go back to like the decision tree and go, what's feeling the best here? What kind of variations here are going to pop up? That's going to require me to define which one I'm taking. I think that's the most important part. I'm going to say define here, because that's when I talk these through, I often find that things pop up. So I'll probably be adding to these. We all start from unknowns. How will you handle them? So no matter how much research you do, no matter how prepared you feel, no matter like how much you think it's going to be exactly these steps, there are going to be things that pop up. Just like when, if you drive to work, or even if you're riding transit, there are going to be things that pop up. Either, a train malfunctions, or someone has a flat tire, or there's weather that's interrupting it. Whatever that journey is going to be different. The randomness of who we encounter is going to be different. And it just is like that in all kinds of projects and things too. Who you encounter, the personalities you encounter can either be supportive or not. And it can be like, how are you going to handle that along the way? And it's not to have a plan for every single variation that comes up or unknown that pops up. It's not about that. Do you have a tool set to handle different situations that come up? Have you practiced like handling a difficult client, or handling someone at school who's giving you a hard time, or a professor or someone who's making it hard for you? Or like you really want to volunteer for a place, and the people there are just making it really super hard for you. How can you pivot and go a different direction and find a place that more suits you? Who could help you? We aren't alone. So put a little apostrophe there. That's okay. Writing and punctuation is not my strong suit. I have dyslexia, so this, I might have many misspelled words. I forgot to mention that. So, who could you kind of like bring up to have on your team? Literally, like paid. Who could you have as just a support? Could be family and friends. Even if you do feel really alone in this, know that you aren't, and that there can be online communities and chosen communities that you can be a part of that can help support you. Even if it's one other person out there who you're connecting with and saying, yeah, that's a great idea, you should try that. There are people out there who can be on your team to cheer you on. So think about like, who is that? Who could be that support system? Who, as a group, could you be part of a mastermind out there that helps you come up with ideas and navigate all of this? If it's, for business, is it part of a school group that you can be there to support each other? It really helps to have some kind of group so that as you get started, you don't feel alone. How flexible do you feel right now? There are points in your life where flexibility is not going to be the priority. I'm going into a small stint right here of a surgery, and so don't have a ton of flexibility right now. Just at least for, a couple weeks. Like, I'm not saying like half the year. I'm just saying like, just right now, do I want to initiate something in the start of, it's May 2024 when I'm doing this. I mean, the end of April, but like as we go into May, do I want to like say, hey, I'm going to start this thing in May and be like, oh, wait, I know. I am going to be doing something totally different. I could do some research. I could do some other things if I'm not feeling up to it. Flexible also means like, do you have the energy for it? And being able to navigate the initiation of something is hard. It's hard. And so is now the right time to do that? A lot of quotes out there are like, talking about starting tomorrow is not the best idea. I'm not going to quote any of those. I'm just saying like, all the quotes out there. It's like, start today, right? Maybe today is not the best. Maybe during this initiation here, you're really going, you know what? June's going to be awesome. So maybe I'll have more flexibility in June. How much energy do I have right now and throughout the project? So this is again kind of like scheduling. It's like, do I have some really big things popping up over the summer? Or I have a son, and so he's part of, he goes to school and I need to help him with homework. And it can very much feel like I need to be supportive in a different way for part of the year or a month or certain times. And then other times I have more freedom to go and do things. I have more energy to go and do things. So where is a really, I was going to say logical, but just where's a really good practical place to come from with how much energy and flexibility do I have? I could be also going to therapy and going through processing a bunch of things from early childhood. And now I'm not going to have the energy or flexibility because I'm really like trying to sort those things out. And maybe it's best to, again, put it off a month or two or a week or two, like whatever works for you. You may not know precisely, and that's okay too. You may get started and have to put it on pause because something big comes up. But we're just talking about like, how do we get that initiation, like get something into those very first steps. And part of that is just kind of going, is now the right time? What other plans do I have? Is this the right time? So I'm a little repetitive here, but looking at a calendar, just seeing, is now the right time to do this? Moving on, since those are kind of repeating. How can I organize this? In what way will it really work with my brain, the way my brain works? How can I get this organized into categories, into an outline, into like a calendar? How best can I visualize this thing that I'm doing? Do I need like a whole year calendar in front of me so I can see the quarters and see how this is going to, turn out a year from now? Do I just need to look at the next 2 weeks? Really important here. I'm going to bring this up in the next couple steps. Document how that's going. Whether or not you're just jotting down a line or two at the end of the day. It could be part of your daily journaling. It can just be a notebook you have just for that project. And just say, I researched websites that day, or I put a deposit down, or I registered something. Just so that you can see that on certain dates things happened, not only for legal reasons. There could be a reason down the road that you just need to know what date you did something. And oftentimes you can look in your email and find the date. But it also could help if there's something like, I don't know, if you're bringing something to market, showing in your documentation like when you've done certain things might be super helpful. But this is going to come in handy for yourself in the next couple steps. What are the big steps? What are those really big milestones? So if you are, let's say, part of a school group, and there's, like the initial part of things where you are getting people to join the group, and then you're fundraising, and then you are ending for the year. Like, what are those really big milestones? Maybe there are certain events that are happening in life. You're planning a wedding. There's going to be like certain parts of it, even if you don't do every single part that most people do, there's going to be certain parts that are important to you. So say you don't want to do bachelorette parties or bachelor parties, you can skip over that. That's not a big step for you. But there could be something of just gathering family in some kind of way that you want to do. And then within those big steps, what are the little steps? How can you look at those and break those down even further? So knowing that you need a venue, or maybe you just need a backyard, or knowing that you need, how do you get the word out to everyone? How do you event plan? Event planning is a lot. It's a lot. So thinking about like the little steps, what's a piece of the decor? Maybe there's like one thing when you think about the decor of the event, there's just like maybe one or two items that really come to mind. And at the end of the project, like you're using 10 different decor items, but there's one or two there that are really kind of exciting to you. And those can be your little steps to get you initiated. It's like, oh, I really want like a wall that people can take pictures on. And so what could I just picture like this little sign or this little backdrop. What parts of those can I start with so that when I'm doing the rest of it, those little steps can really motivate me to get going. So having these big steps, knowing that the plan and the organization is coming along, but what are those little tiny steps to get you started? Because those can be like the exciting parts that keep you motivated. What fears are coming to mind? This one's really, to me, this is the one that comes up a lot. I do jump to conclusions, and I'm very much like, oh, but this might happen and this might happen. Catastrophizing. And so this will definitely hold me back. And then when I go, well, it's like half of the thing that I want to do, I'm fearful of. And then I drill it down a little further, and I'm realizing, no, it's not half. It's not even a quarter. It's like this tiny part that's a certain step that I'm really fearful of. Like I'm dreading it, but it's not the whole thing. So I need to come up with like a plan just for that part. Something for me is I'm thinking that one part, if I do it wrong, it's going to cause so much more stuff that I have to do. But that's kind of the nature of anything that you do. There's going to be missteps, and there's going to be, learning from it all. And so I am going to go into this, maybe not with all the information, and still do my best and still have to redo things and make them up, and know that that's part of the process. So really be honest about like, what is actually, when you look at this whole project, is it a small sliver of the whole pie that I'm just being fearful about? The first small steps can be the hardest. So we can be like, oh yeah, I'll start that tomorrow, which is okay, right? We've talked about this. It's not that unless you have deadlines. I mean, some of these things, school has registration dates. If you're part of a group at school, there's going to be meeting dates. But if you're kind of going on it on your own, going out there and creating a new business or a new service or something that it's just you internally holding yourself accountable, that first step can be super hard, and we just keep avoiding it. So I made a little thing here. A lot of the start is really, really this short period of time. The middle part, and even into like, I actually was thinking I should push this to about here. The finish can probably be right here. So this messy middle, which I'm going to talk about the next time, is really the bulk of everything. So the start, once you are started, there's going to be some momentum that helps you keep rolling, right? So making it the easiest start, the easiest little thing, the easiest little step that you can take, it can be the research. It can be making this feel more real to yourself. And then the middle is kind of where things feel like a lot more heavier. So, but once we have this start, we realize we're in the middle of it. So I just kind of wanted to visualize like, hey, the start and the finish can kind of be the smaller parts of everything. So who will this benefit? Who is this going to benefit you? Is this a personal growth thing? Is this volunteering for others that are really going to help benefit their lives in amazing ways? Is it going to change our society? Is it going to put thoughts out there that everyone's going to be like, wait a minute, this could really help a lot of people? Could it be a new product, a new anything? Who would this really benefit? And a lot of that can help speak to your why of why you're doing it. What's the point in doing it at all? What is like, it can be because you need to make a living, because you need to survive, because you need to take care of your family. It can be all of those. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking to take care of your family. What distractions do you have currently? So I want to kind of define this a little differently too. So there's distractions, and then there's just rest and relaxation. So if every night you sit down and watch an episode of your favorite show, you need decompression time. You can't work up until the moment you fall asleep. But are there distractions where it's more than just resting? It's more than coping. Are there things that you're in the habit of doing every single day that you're going to, if you're introducing something new to your life, you're going to have to replace that time? Unless your schedule feels completely empty and completely like, wait, I have all this time in my hands. Let me introduce something. And that possibly can happen. I chuckle a little bit because I'm a mom and I run a business, and like I have very little time. So I'm usually swapping out my time. I am not doing something so I can do something. But I can choose, like, do I want to watch a bunch of YouTube videos that are just funny? Some of those can help me decompress. But if I just watch one instead of 5, I would have some time to put towards something else. How can I decrease them? Maybe I taper off of them. Maybe I stay at home more instead of going out and going shopping. I don't know. I'm just bringing things up, like how you spend your time and what you're swapping out. And yeah, it could be distractions, or it just could be responsibilities. You could be at a job that is requiring too much. Maybe you're full-time and you want to go part-time so that you can have a YouTube career or something. What is it that you're going to swap your time out for so that you can get this done? Is the work a sprint or a marathon? Is this your new typical day? So if you are swapping out time or you're putting in new things into your schedule, not only will those be new habits to get used to and to be motivated by and to want to be a part of, is this a new routine completely that is going to be your typical day for a while? Is this going to be a month long? Is this going to be a year long? Is this going to be 5 years long? And I'm not talking about a kid because that's like 18 years long. I mean, it's possible. It could be that your project is that you do want to have a family. Um, it's Does this look like a sprint? Is this a short-term thing? Or is this going to be a typical day for quite a while? Kind of knowing that up front can allow your brain to go, oh, okay, I'm going to be making these adjustments for a long period of time. Excuse me. So, we've talked about the smallest first step. I want to challenge you a little bit more on this first step. I want to say that this first step, you're not going to be productive. This is, to me, this is the fun part. I realized this about myself anyway. I'm in my mid 40s. I've been doing project management things, running my own business for a long time. And I have found, especially in our neurodivergent household, that if I'm setting up for the next step, that I want to take that next step. So it could be like habit forming. Hey, I'm going to put out my clothes because I want to go take a run in the morning. Hey, I want to pre-pack my lunch for the week, and so I can just grab something. Like, those are habits. But I'm talking about like this new venture, this new adventure, this new journey that you're taking. How can you just set it up only? Could you put out art supplies? Could you create a space that you're going to be working within for the next 6 months? Could it be that you get a calendar and have the calendar there, but you're not putting any dates in? Because when you go to sit down the next day with a fresh mind, you're going to see that you are supporting yourself, that you are there for you, that you set that up as a gift to yourself for the next day. There's something really powerful about sleeping on that first step, that setup into taking the first step. That there's this really big gap of just, usually it's a night of sleep. It feels physically like someone is there helping you along, and that it's hard for me to describe. Let me know if any of you have tried this, because this to me is one of the most important things. And I love this. I love this part. And I see other people do it too. The clients that I've had of like, hey, I really do want to see my dreams come true. And when I see my yesterday self supporting my today self, there's something just kind of magical about that. It's like if someone were to, you're working hard on something and someone were to bring you coffee. You're like, oh, they're really supporting me through this. And if it's not coffee, it's tea or whatever beverage it is. But like someone who is like saying, you can do this. You can do this. And sometimes it's you that is saying, you can do this. And the last part here is, do you need to jump with somebody? So do you need to jump into this venture with the support of somebody else? Maybe it's yourself. Maybe it actually is someone else, and they could have like no vested stake in the business or whatever you're doing. They could just be there to cheerlead you on. Like, what could they do to help you get a little organized, that you could just bounce ideas off of, that you could just unload sometimes? What kind of things could that person help do to help you take that very first step? How can they, maybe you say, hey, yeah, tomorrow I'm thinking about registering my business name. And they're like, whoa, slow down. Do you have a list of business names you want to like just bounce off of me? Can we like do a little research together and see if they're available via domain names? Can we see like if there's similar businesses out there? They don't have to be a business coach. They can just be like, oh, I hear you want to like volunteer at the school and just help kids read. Do you have time for that? Not to second guess you, but to actually like maybe have some things that you didn't think of, but then they help you take that first leap. that they help you take that initiation into those next steps. I'm sure I could go on and on and on with this, but these are some of the things that I have found help me take that first step. That very clear, defined, what is that first step? And then what do I set up the day before so that I can step into that role to start my next journey? So let me know what comes to mind, because I'm sure I'm forgetting things. I'm sure I'm forgetting obvious things. And I very much welcome in the comments, like, what came up when you're hearing these things? What are times that you've initiated something and there's like something we could add to this? Because I would love to do a part 2 and do a whole new page or just add a few things. I think it helps everyone. So if you enjoyed this, like it on your way out. And if you want to hear about my upcoming 2 more videos, so I'm going to be releasing these about a week from each other, make sure you're subscribed, because then you can get notified, put the little bell on, whatever you want to do, so that you hear the next 2 stages of middle and finish. So thank you for listening through all this. And again, comment below if anything has come to mind, because I really want to hear it. Take care, everyone. Bye.